there. Well, welcome. Today we're going to start our simple, easy, basic embroidery stitches series. We're going to start off by just showing you some very simple examples. You'll be able to do this very soon, in no time at all. Now, I like to do them on clothing. Jackets, denim jackets look brilliant with simple embroidery stitches on them. We're going to start off with a very simple one, and it's chain stitch. Now you can use chain stitch straight away once you've got the hang of it to do lovely embroideries. You don't really need anything else, but I will show you some nice simple embroidery stitches to go along with it, just to make it that bit much better. Right, so I'll show you here now. I've got this jacket with me. This is a very simple, just a running stitch in a contrasting colour on the denim. Pink always looks great on a denim. Continuing the theme with a running stitch, this is just a running stitch done in a circle. You start in the middle and you work your way out wider and wider, and it looks like a nice little spiral, but it's only running stitch, just depends how you do it. Now, the next one, my favourite one actually, is the chain stitch. And then you can make little daisies. You see the little daisy there? Not this big one, even though that is chain stitch round and round, but it's a bit tighter together. But the simplest of one is this little 5-petaled daisy. I'll have you doing that in no time at all. You're going to love it. So I'm going to change the camera over now so you can see my hands, and I'll tell you a bit more. Right, so now let's get in touch with what we've got to use to do our embroidery stitches. These are called your silks. Now they're threads. They're not threads that you would put on a sewing machine or use for ordinary hand sewing. They are specifically for embroidery. They're known as silks, but as you can see, they're not fabric, they're the threads. The other thing you need to know is that you can actually buy needles that are specifically for embroidery. Okay, the eye of the needle is that little bit longer. Right, so I've got my needle. All right, let's not lose that. But before that, we need to know how to get the threads to a usable length, because this is obviously all one length. So you see the end that was poking out. So I pull it once and then pull it twice. I'm going to chop it off, just like, ooh, I missed. There we go. So I can move those out of the way to one side. Now, this thread is made of 6 separate threads. For very, very fine embroidery, people tend to use just one of those 6. As a general rule, when I embroider onto the fabrics that I use in the clothing, I use 2. If I want something that's a little bit more dominant or a bit thicker, I will use 3. Anything thicker than that, and really that you want to stand out, you could use a much bigger needle and use the whole thing. But as a general rule, 2 is used. Now I'll show you how to do that without getting in a tangle. So the first thing you have to do is separate the threads out. Just at this end, there we go. And you see now they're starting to separate. So I need to isolate just one thread. There he is. So with your thumb and finger, hold the rest firmly, but obviously not so tight that you can't get this one thread out. And then with my other hand, I'm going to just pull. There we go. And it comes all the way up without any trouble whatsoever. Now, before I take another thread out so it doesn't tangle, you just gently straighten it out. There we go. So I've got 1 and I need 2. So I'm going to separate another thread. There was 2. There we go. There's 1 on its own. So same sequence, thumb and finger holding the rest and pull. There we go. And then straighten out what's left. and we're going to set that to one side. So taking the two that you have, put them together at the top, try and get them even. There we are. Now we're going to treat them as one thread. So just straighten them out, get them to lie nicely together, and then we're going to thread them. So the easiest way that I've found is bending the threads over the sharp end of the needle. There we go. Take that out and turn it round so that you've got the eye, and then just take the eye of the needle to the thread, give it a wiggle, and you should be able to get it all through. There we go. So make sure we haven't got any lumpy bits. Straighten it out again. So I'm going to show you how to do the chain stitch on a felt heart. And because I'm going to stitch two felt hearts together and you won't see the underneath, I am going to make a small knot for this occasion. When you are able to see the underneath and it's not going to be covered, then you wouldn't make the knot because then it would just look messy. But for this occasion, I'm going to do a small knot. So wrap it round the finger, give it a twirl. With any luck, we get the knot at the end. Right, so I'm going to start at the point, and from underneath, I'm going to come up, leaving enough space, probably about here. So you can use your thumb to sort of guide you now. So there comes that needle. Pull it all the way through, remembering you've got a knot on the end, so it's fine. I'm going to hold that side out of the way. I'm going to go down the same place I came up, and then about a stitch length, bring it up again. Now, can you see that the thread is over here? And I am bringing that needle up in the middle. You see how it's forming a loop now? And you bring it up and just gently, don't pull it too much because you don't want it to just look like a straight line. You want it to look like a loop, a link in a chain. Right, so holding the thread out of the way again, we're going to go right down in exactly the same place as we came up and up again a stitch length. There we go. And the thread is forming that loop again. Up we come. See how the thumb is controlling it so it doesn't get all tangled. Then we can move it when we can see the loop forming and make another one. Now can you see how they look like links in a chain, which is what gives the name of the stitch. So down where we came up, a stitch length out again, all the way up, keeping the thread out of the way so that you can form the loop. There we are. So both hands have a job. That thumb is very important at holding the thread out of the way. So you want to go down where we came up, a stitch length and up again. There we are. And gently pull it through. What we don't want is for it to pull too tightly and then you lose the look of the chain. So I am going to go all the way around back to where I started, and then I'll show you something different in the middle. Right, so you've joined me back here now. I've just got this amount to do until we get back down to where we started, and now it's looking quite pretty already, and we've only used chain stitch. So just bringing the end of the chain, and I shall show you how we finish it off. So just a couple more. There we are. So remember, it's down where you came up again a stitch lengths away, holding the thread out of the way so it doesn't get tangled, and bringing it back into a nice loop. Now to finish off, I'm going to go into that first one there and make the loop join up the chain. Now I'm going to take my needle and right next to where the loop has finished, push it to the back and don't overdo it too tightly. There we go. Now you can see how it has formed two lovely decorative hearts. So I'm going to turn it over now and you can see how I'm going to finish off. So if you've seen any of my other things, we always have a securing stitch. So we're going to go under that last one, not through to the top because we don't want to see any of the security stitches here. Through the loop and just firm but not over pulling the material, and then we can snip off our thread. Now we can do it this way because when this heart is used, it will be backed by another heart and stuffed. But that I'm going to do in the project section of probably number 7 or 8, not quite sure yet. So this is our heart. It's ready to put a little bit more decoration in. So I think I'm going to use that lovely orange to do some daisies. Right, so I've already got 2 threads off here. Let's see if I can straighten it out without tangling it. There we go, yes. So once again, bend it over the sharp end of the needle, take it out, take the eye of the needle to the thread, wiggle it about, and there it is. Okay, so a little knot on the end. There it is. Round the finger, roll it, and we end up with a nice knot. So now I'm going to show you how you can use these simple chain stitches to make a daisy. I'm going to start about here, I think. So we'll, from underneath, bring that thread up into what will be the middle of the daisy. Now we're going to go in one direction, and just as before when we were making the chain, down where you came out and come out a stitch length away, holding the thread in place with your thumb, we now can form a loop. This time we are going to go down again just at the top of that loop and bring your cotton all the way through gently, don't over pull, and then we're going to come back up again in the middle. So feel for the middle, there it is, pull that needle through, and then we're going to slightly change direction for your petals. Hold it with the thumb out of the way, back down in the middle with the needle, coming up a stitch length away, all the time controlling the cotton, the thread. Again, back down at the top of the loop. There we are. And where do you think we're going to go now? Yes, back up through the middle. There we are. Change direction again. Use your thumb to keep that thread out of the way. We're going to go back down the middle and up a stitch length. There we are. Now, think about forming a flower. So you need to give it enough space so that it's going to look like a 5-petaled daisy when you've done. So we've done 3. So in the space that's left, you need 1 here and 1 there. So that's what you're going to concentrate on doing. So up in the middle, all the way through. Use your thumb to keep the thread out of the way. back down the middle and up a stitch length. There we go. And we're going to do one more back down at the head of the loop. Now this will be our last petal, and as you can see, it's easier by turning your work to face the direction you want to do your stitching. So I'm going to bring that needle back up through the middle and use your thumb, back down the middle and bring it up that stitch length. And there you have it. What's commonly known as a lazy daisy, because it doesn't really take that much effort, does it? There we go. And that is your first little daisy. Now, you could put lots of them in here and that could be your design, or you could leave it just the one, or you could put one here and one here. It's totally up to you, because the beauty of freehand embroidery is it's all your choice. Have fun practicing. There you go. So, a very simple introduction to chain stitch. I use it all the time and I love it. I think you know that by now. So, it just remains for me to say to you, like, share and subscribe to these videos and you won't miss any. Keep your eyes peeled for the next one. Take care. See you soon. Bye-bye.